This video is about the questions from several friends regarding the interpretation of Neil deGrasse Tyson's Starry Messenger. Below are our responses, for reference only. Question 1. Antiques are useful for studying history and archaeology, but what significance do they hold for personal collections? Why are they particularly valuable, and what's the worth in spending a lot on artifacts? How would aliens view this? Response. Archaeology and antiques are entirely different. Archaeology involves analyzing ancient artifacts to understand societal conditions, focusing on the information these items carry. Antiques concern themselves with the collectible and aesthetic value of ancient objects. To archaeologists, anything from a site can hold immense value. Discovering a 4,000-year-old dwelling yields invaluable insights from every detail. Plants, soil changes, origins of stones, leftover animal bones, or remnants of clothing. All have significance. Yet, in the world of antiques, these same items may hold no value. Not everything from ancient times is considered an antique. Near Gaoping City, Jinzhong, Shaanxi, there are remnants of the Warring States period's battles between Qin and Zhao. Locals sometimes find arrows and similar artifacts left by these armies, but these items never make it to auction. Their collectible value pales in comparison to a vase from the Qin dynasty. An antique is something revered in its own time. Fine ceramics, celebrity autographs, jewelry, jade, ceremonial items, and art. These are what can become antiques. Excavating two coarse pottery bowls from a Song dynasty commoner's tomb does not constitute an antique. The affection for antiques contains subjective, instinctive, and emotional elements. Historical admiration for gold and jade, reverence for celebrities, appreciation of art. These aspects aren't inherent in the artifacts themselves. They're meanings attributed by humans. Why is gold valuable? Why is a vase used by Emperor Qianlong more precious than others? Aliens might find this awkward. Guess what? Archaeologists are the aliens among us. Take the recent Sanxingui excavation. Gold masks and ivory turn up, items of immense value in the antiques world. Yet, to archaeologists, the soil surrounding these artifacts may be more valuable. Why? Because experts deduce that these treasures were initially wrapped in silk, placed in pits, and burned. The black soil might contain traces of silk. Sure enough, archaeologists find evidence of silk within. This discovery suggests that the ancient Shu state mastered silk production 3,000 years ago, filling a gap in Chinese history. Where did their silk culture originate? Was it from the Shang culture? By closely analyzing the silk's weave, density, and thickness, one can gauge the era's craftsmanship. Isn't this far more intriguing than mindlessly admiring a vase at home every day? It's not that aliens lack empathy. They recognize gold's rarity and value, appreciate the exquisite nature of official kiln porcelain, and understand the brilliance of famous paintings. Aliens grasp these meanings. However, because they can also see other, more intriguing, more critical things, they might disregard the relevance of a vase to Emperor Qianlong. They only recognize gold because they haven't seen anything else, and they only see collectibles, in terms of their monetary value because they don't understand anything else. Question 2. Earlier, we discussed some neuroscience studies that found human rationality actually serves emotion. Often, we first have an emotional idea, then use reason to justify it. In the world, the various technologies and achievements created by reason mostly end up serving human emotional needs. So, is rationality merely a slave to emotion? Is the pursuit of reason also a form of emotion? Response. This question is quite broad, and I can only offer a simple explanation based on my limited understanding. First, what do we mean by rationality? In English, this term has two interpretations. One is reason. This kind of rationality implies that the world operates according to certain laws, such as physical laws. By understanding and adhering to these laws, we can act wisely. Previously, we discussed this rationality as advocated during the Enlightenment. The other interpretation is rational, as in Max Weber's notion of instrumental rationality. When we say rationality serves emotion, we refer to this type of rationality. Instrumental rationality entails making more informed choices while still obeying our desires. For instance, consider a corrupt official who desires money. Knowing that directly asking for money from everyone is impractical, they skillfully and discreetly accept bribes. You could say this official is rational. Yet their rationality serves their desire for wealth. Similarly, if you love cake and immediately eat any cake you see, that's clearly an emotional act. What would reason suggest? It would prompt you to ask, do I value eating this cake more than maintaining a healthy body? Do I prefer eating cake now or extending my life to enjoy more cake overall? Each option stems from emotion, from what you genuinely desire. Rationality comes into play when you evaluate these desires and select the option that aligns best with your true preferences. This is instrumental rationality. Reason in service to emotion. Tyson's notion of rationality aligns closely with this idea. It's not about denying your desires but recognizing their conflicts and making informed decisions. To do this, you need some scientific knowledge and numerical assessment. Here, rationality still serves emotion, but emotion considers the advice of reason. Now, you might wonder if there's a type of rationality that doesn't serve emotion. During the Enlightenment, reason was seen as something that didn't serve emotion. Rather, we should serve it. This form of reason is about objective truth, physical laws. Things you must adhere to. Furthermore, people extended the idea of natural laws to human affairs. Why are legal principles called laws like physical laws? Because many believe laws should be as objective as natural laws. Similarly, many think morality should be objective and above human emotions. Choosing to do something not out of love but out of duty. I should do this. Fits this framework. However, from philosophers like Nietzsche onward, this notion of guiding human affairs through objective reason has been deconstructed. What if there's no God? What if the moral principles you hold dear are just products of specific cultural customs? Laws and moral rules may not be objective. For example, why is it okay to kill a pig but not a person? The assumption here is that humans are more valuable. Yet this is a subjective human belief. The pig might disagree with your assessment. So, what we call laws and moral rules also serve human emotions, don't they? Therefore, contemporary philosophers argue that you can't derive a complete set of daily action guidelines purely from reason. Your starting point, your values, always include a subjective, non-objective, emotional component. Chimpanzees share 98% of our genes. Why should humans have certain rights that chimps don't? There's no objective reason here. This implies that society can't function solely on reason. Science can tell us what things are but not how we should live. You need a bit of emotion first. Like wanting to live and wanting to live well. To arrange your activities logically. Yet, this doesn't mean Tyson's rationalia shouldn't exist. Rationalia isn't about managing a nation solely through reason. It's about having a basic level of instrumental rationality. You want to work out or eat vegetarian? That's fine, but if you claim that only vegetarianism can keep you fit and push for policies encouraging it, you must present scientific evidence. Question 3. Many people with disabilities are still struggling to live ordinary lives or pursue regular jobs. There is indeed a difference between able-bodied people and those with disabilities. If we break down these distinctions, do we no longer need to use tactile paving for the visually impaired on streets? Is it unnecessary to require businesses to hire disabled individuals in specific proportions? Response. Of course, everything in the world has distinctions, and from a cosmic perspective, acknowledging differences doesn't mean enforcing inequality. Ideally, everything should be in its proper place and receive appropriate treatment. Breaking down biases means not adding another distinction based on subjective prejudice. For instance, a university offering financial aid to impoverished students ideally should support the neediest. If a teacher favors students from their hometown by granting them aid due to regional ties, that's clearly showing bias. This principle is understood even without reading Tyson. But what Tyson aims to prompt us to think about is, what does most impoverished actually mean? Consider 3 students. Student A comes from a low-income family but is deeply loved by their parents, who make sacrifices to ensure they have a good life at school, often spending lavishly despite financial constraints. Student B's family is not impoverished, but they adopt a frugal upbringing policy, providing only enough monthly allowance for basic meals, living on a tight budget. Student C originally had sufficient funds for living expenses, but due to an unexpected event last month, all the money was spent, and this month they are borrowing money just to eat. Who should receive the poverty assistance? Dogmatic individuals might choose student A, while those overflowing with empathy might choose student B. Pragmatists might opt for student C. My understanding is that Tyson's entire point is to encourage us to first understand the underlying intent of each classification, reminding us that there are no inherent or essential priorities in things. A physical disability isn't inherently more prioritized than an intellectual disability, just as the difference between believing in God and ethnic cultural distinctions aren't inherently prioritized. Tyson certainly wouldn't oppose providing special accommodations for disabled individuals, but he might question the effectiveness of certain policies. Suppose Jack is missing a leg but lives an active life without difficulty, while Tom, fully limbed, struggles to find work due to lower IQ and EQ. Wouldn't a more scientifically informed welfare policy prioritize helping Tom? Tyson urges us to reassess all kinds of ingrained classification methods. Question 4. Standing on the moon and looking at the Earth does indeed make us feel small and our actions limited, broadening our perspective. But back in our daily lives and work, we still face complex relationships and trivial matters that often drain us. How do we balance this mindset? Response. What often causes us distress is not the things themselves, but our emotional reactions to them. The cosmic perspective's most direct impact on life is our emotional response. Take a surgeon, for example. Early in their career, when a patient died under their care for the first time, they were devastated, crying uncontrollably, falling ill, and trembling before the next surgery. Over time, having witnessed countless life and death situations, they gradually realized that some deaths are inevitable, gaining greater insight. Would this experience make them indifferent to life? Certainly not. They still perform surgeries diligently, but their emotions remain stable, focusing on the procedure itself rather than the life and death implications. Their hands remain dry and steady. No matter how broad one's perspective, one must still live earnestly and face each small matter with diligence. But you won't be consumed by trivial matters.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.